So now we're going to measure various lung volumes, and we need this equipment. This is known as a spirometer. This type of spirometer can only measure your exhalation. So in other words, you can't breathe in and measure any volumes. You have to blow out through it. Another limitation of this type of spirometer is that you can't just blow gently through it. It won't pick that up. So it's going to be pretty forceful exhalations that it's going to pick up the measurements on. So before we start, there are a few things you need to do. Of course, you don't want to stick your mouth on this because lots of people are using this equipment. So we have these disposable paper tubes that you would put on, a fresh one that only you have touched. And the other thing is that you need to calibrate this. And so right now it's showing some previous person's reading, and the 0 is here. And so the way you set it is that you twist. So the arrow is lining up with the 0, like that. And so now you're ready to use this and blow in here. The other thing I want to point out that some of these will report cc. So 1 cc is the same as 1 ml. So basically all these numbers are also in milliliters. So before we start, I want to explain some of these lung volumes. So what you have here is a graph of a person breathing in. So if the line is moving up, it means that you're breathing in. And if the line is moving down, you're breathing out. So it'll be in, out, in, out, in, out. And so what this is representing is a person just sitting around breathing quietly. So probably what you're doing right now while watching this video. And so the volume that you are bringing in and out of your lungs when you're breathing quietly is known as the tidal volume. Sometimes you see people use V and then a subscript T or TV. Either one means tidal volume. So because our instrument can only measure you breathing out and can only measure them when you're breathing more forcefully, we are not able to get the tidal volume from this spirometer. So we're going to have to calculate it. And so what we can get are some other more forceful exhalations. And so just to continue showing on this graph first, what we're showing here is someone is taking a deep breath in, as big as possible, and then they are blowing with all their might, as much air out as they possibly can. And so that is what you would be doing in this part here, figuring out your vital capacity, because this part is your vital capacity. It's the volume that when you take a maximum inhalation and you're blowing as much as you possibly can out. All right? So then we come up here and there's some more tidal volumes. But there are a few other volumes we can use this to figure out. One is the ERV, or expiratory reserve volume. And that's what we're going to do here, where they call it volume B. And so this one can be hard to do, but basically what you would need to do is just take a breath in, a breath out, a breath in, a breath out, and right there where you would like to take another breath in, you blow out as much as you can, and that's when you would have to stick this to your mouth and measure this volume. And it can be hard to do. It usually takes some practice. Another volume we can do with this spirometer is that we take a breath in, we take a breath out, we take a breath in, and then this is just a regular tidal breath, but here we blow out as much as we possibly can. And so that's known as the expiratory reserve volume plus the tidal volume, because if you remember up here we measure the expiratory reserve volume, but as you can see in this picture we're also adding the tidal volume. And so if once we have numbers for this, we can subtract this one from that, and we have figured out what the tidal volume is. And so that's some of the calculations you are going to need to do over on this paper. So we're going to fill out this table here, and as I said, you might get better with practice, so I would recommend starting off practicing, then do 3 trials, and then calculate the average in the last column. Then you're going to figure out the other volumes by doing calculations here. from the values you got up here. And so once again, remember that 1 cc is the same as 1 milliliter. So I'm going to demonstrate a vital capacity using one of these spirometers. And so I made sure I have zeroed out my dial here. And then the next thing I also need to think about is getting a good seal around the mouthpiece. And I need to pinch my nose, or if you have a nose clip, that could be a good thing too. But I'm going to pinch my nose at the same time. The other thing, when you're doing vital capacities and when you're doing these volumes, you should be standing up. When you're sitting down, some of you have bad posture, we're slouching, you're not going to be able to measure your full lung volumes. And so because we're trying to take a deep breath in, as big as possible, it's good to stand up. And then I'm going to empty as much out of my lungs as I possibly can. And so it'd be helpful to do a little crunch or bend over to really squeeze as much air out. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate this. So all right, I had 4,100 cc in that blow. So you would just do this 3 times, calculate the average, and then you would do the other volumes as described in your lab manual.